Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, gentlemen. It's great to have you here. Mr. Secretary, particularly want to extend a special welcome to you and your first appearance as the SecDef for the committee. General Dempsey, let me start on cyber. If I might, I was pleased to see the increased funding in the budget, especially given the threats and the capabilities that we've seen developing over these last few years. And what you're proposing will hopefully allow us to stay ahead of all of this. Can you give the committee a sense of what the $800 million in the budget will buy us? What enhancements will be a result of that investment that we didn't have before? And on that same subject, given the current level of maturity, is it now the appropriate time to elevate U.S. Cyber Command to the level of a separate unified command?
What we're doing with the $800 million, we are organizing ourselves. Currently, we have capabilities at the national level, and I know you know this, Senator, but our portfolio for cyber is very narrowly defined as defending the .mil domain. So we're protecting ourselves, though we have said frequently that we have capabilities that could be extended to the nation should that become necessary in a defense against an attack, for example. But so we've got the teams formed at the national level. We're also trying to export the capability, if you will, to the combatant commanders. So forming fusion centers, operations centers, if you will, so that they have the capability to conduct reconnaissance of threat networks external to the United States, of course, and then defensive teams that, if the .mil domain is under attack, can block, and if necessary, have the capability to perform offensive cyber as well. So what we're doing is protecting ourselves, but you're interested, of course, as well in the nation, and I think that the next step in that journey will require some legislation to augment and supplement what the President provided in his executive order.
Thoughts on a unified Cyber Command? You want to take that under advisement?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, we haven't pushed it because we want to make sure that the timing is right. You know that I advocate that Cybercom and the National Security Agency be dual-hatted. I'm not sure we've been persuasive in that regard, and so until I'm persuasive, we want to leave well enough alone, because I think we're adequately organized right now. But I think that if we were having this conversation in 2020, it'll be, you know, people say, of course it should have been a unified command, but we're just not there yet.
Okay. Mr. Secretary, you know well the important role R&D has played, not just in the Department of Defense, but the work that's been done has been translated and transferred over to the civilian sector, dating way back. I want to focus on energy R&D. And many experts have been saying that we should do so in the Department of Defense. And I understand in that vein that the price of fuel that the services will pay, and this is conventional fuel, is going to rise to over $4.70 per gallon on May 1st, which is an increase of about 21% over current prices. The bottom line is oil prices keep going up, and the volatility of those prices makes budgeting impossible. With that in mind, what kind of investments will the DOD need to make to prevent our fuel bill from cutting further into our critical programs?
Well, you know the numbers on this, Senator, as to how much money we spend annually, and one of the largest, maybe the largest consumer of fuels in the world, the DOD. So it is an issue. It is not just, as you know, a budget issue, but it's a security issue, the reliability of our sources. As we have the fleet all over the world in planes. We have an office, as you know, in the Department of Defense that focuses on this. We have programs within that office. We continue to look at different options and programs. We fund those offices. It is a priority, has to be a priority within the balance of all the things that we're doing. The research and development wing of defense has been a remarkably productive element for defense and the country. So yes, it's a priority. It will continue to be a priority.
I look forward to working with you in that regard, and want to again pay a tribute to the Navy in particular that's really been on the cutting edge of this effort, Secretary Mavis specifically. If I might, let me reference General Dunford's comments yesterday that he's worried about the effect that cuts will have on the training and readiness of troops rotating into Afghanistan. General Odierno told us last month that reduced training dollars could force the Army to extending tour lengths in order to prevent units that aren't fully prepared from going into harm's way. Do you have the same concerns? And if I could be more blunt, is Congress's inability to compromise putting our troops' safety at risk? And I direct that to both you and General Dempsey.
I'll respond briefly,
Sure.
and then General Dempsey will want to respond. First, as General Dempsey has said, as I noted in my statement, readiness has to be our number one priority. I cannot certify, nor can Chairman of the Joint Chiefs or any of our chiefs, to have our young men and women go to war if they're unprepared, if they're not ready. I won't do that. I know Chairman Dempsey won't do that. Any of our leaders won't do it. So it has to remain a priority. Are we concerned with the cuts and what's happening? Yes, we are. And as you've heard this morning and continue to hear, we are working around that in every way we can not to affect that. But at some point here, we are going to see that start to cut pretty deeply. I think, as the chairman has noted and General Dunford noted, the chiefs have noted. With that, let me ask General Dempsey.
Yeah, I'm deeply concerned. Right now, Senator, we're consuming readiness. We're using it. We're not producing it. And we're stuck in that position because we have to find $23 billion in readiness funding for the rest of the year. So we're consuming it. We're not producing it. That's a dangerous path.
Yeah, I would note we have another opportunity as a Congress in the early, middle part of the summer to deal with this. And it's my desire that we do so, and I'm going to be focused on this in every way I possibly can. And I know a Sergeant Hagel would not send our troops into combat without being properly prepared. Thank you again, gentlemen.